What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. It's your boy, Crazy Faith, Son of God, in the building, getting ready to drop some quick value for you guys. So, today's topic is actually going to be December boundaries, right? Boundaries for December boundaries, right? So, diving into this, right? So, pretty much having boundaries is so powerful, right? Boundaries, like, it's so cool because it's like a wall, right? It helps others and you keep that foundation and respect for yourself, right? So when we have a boundaries, right? When we have a standard and we have a boundaries, it's also protecting everything that lies within you that you need to be that you need to protect, right? Whether it's your integrity, whether it's your happiness, whether it's your joy, we have access to protect our boundaries, right? So setting boundaries is so important because it sets up a guideline to what you would allow people to do to you and what you would allow into your situations, into your lifestyle. Without boundaries, you won't have a solid foundation, right? Including me. I have to set boundaries when it comes to certain things, when it comes to family members, when it comes to the people around me, right? Because I know if I don't set the boundaries, then what I've worked for is going to be at risk, right? I'm risking what I've worked for, right? Whether it's my vibration, whether it's the success that I have, whether it's um my characteristics, my character effects, I'm risking all of that if I don't set boundaries, right? And boundaries is so cool that sometimes it could be a little hard to set the boundaries because you don't want to ruffle any feathers, but boundaries is so important that gives you control over your life, right? So that way you could protect everything that God has placed within you, right? When you don't have boundaries, you're just going on a path that's not directed. You're going on a crazy path that's not directed, and you tend to go up and down, go backwards, and retrace. And we have to remember, like, these boundaries is going to allow us to live the life that we want, right? Even with business, right? They got standards, right? Boundaries. So the foundations towards the business. Without that foundation, what happens to the business? It falls apart. Same thing with you. If you don't have boundaries and values and integrity, if you don't protect those boundaries, what happens? Your kingdom will fall apart, right? Your character will fall apart. Your integrity will fall apart, right? And I want to emphasize on this too because I was a person that didn't set boundaries. I was the person that was just like, okay, I work so much hard on myself, and then I won't set these boundaries, and then I go back around these people, and then I'm going back down to the level that I just you worked so hard to get away from. And I'm just like, wait, hold on, like, what's going on? Right? What's going on? Why am I feeling like this again? Why am I going through these same negative thought patterns again? Right? And I had to dive deep, like, wait, what's going on? All right, I have to protect my energies. All right, if I got to protect my energy, then I have to set boundaries. If I'm not setting boundaries, then I'm just working for nothing. I'm putting all this time and energy into me going up here and then getting brought back down because I didn't set a boundary, right? And I've just started to do this more often because it feels good. When you set the boundary, it feels so good to set the boundary. So now you're respecting yourself, you're respecting what God has placed in your heart, and now you have protection to keep walking and keep building, and keep walking. When we don't have the foundation, we fall apart, nothing is being built, and we got to start from scratch again. This is so important of having boundaries, boundaries of December. This is so important, right? How we finish this fourth quarter is going to determine how we start the new year, right? We have to have these boundaries in place. We have to have these boundaries in place if we want to see the growth and the flourishing growth that's going to come from God how we want it, right? If we don't have the boundaries, we have no solid foundation. And I go with the boundaries. I set these boundaries with my family members, right? If they like me or not, I'd rather please God than to please a family member. I'd rather please God than to please people. I'd rather please God than to please any close relative, anybody that's close to me. I'd rather please God over them. I'd rather please God than to please them, right? Because when I please God, everything is at peace, everything goes in my favor. When I choose people over God, I am just disconnected from Him and I feel a sense of separation. Like, I just feel like it's not fulfilled. Like, I'm not being fulfilled. I'm not doing my purpose. I feel like restricted. I feel watered down, right? So we gotta always remember the boundaries. The boundaries is gonna allow us to have that solid foundation and to see the growth that we want. Without that solid foundation, we get up here and then just to get brought back down because we didn't set our boundaries correctly and we're around negative influences that's not taking us where we need to go, right? And it's hard sometimes, setting boundaries with family members, but you have to do it. You have to do it because why? If you don't set the boundaries, then you're disrespecting yourself. You're letting an outside circumstance dictate your boundaries. You're letting an outside circumstance dictate how much work you put into yourself to get it brought back down again, right? We have to always protect our boundaries so that way we can see the kingdom of God, right? Boundaries are so cool. Like, I love setting boundaries now. I love setting it because that allows me to have a solid foundation so that way people could respect my boundaries and I could respect their boundaries and we can have a healthy, positive relationship, right? Also, boundaries, when you have boundaries, you have healthy relationships. When you have healthy relationships, you have peace, you have joy, you have happiness, right? When you don't have the boundaries, all hell is broken loose, right? So we got to remember these boundaries is so it's more powerful than we think. Even me, like, these boundaries is more powerful than we think, right? Sometimes we might have to disconnect from certain family members and people that's close to us so we could understand the solitude of God and what He's trying to do in our lives. And that's also setting boundaries, right? I love this. I love this. Setting boundaries is so powerful. It's just like boundaries, is just like respect for yourself. I feel like, right? I'm grateful for myself that I'm allowing myself trying something new to set these boundaries, and I'm cool with who walks in my life and who leaves my life. Because if you were meant to stay, I would have you. If you're not meant to stay, then you are not meant to stay. And that's cool. Who's for me will be for me. Who's not for me will go. And I'm perfectly at peace with it. I'm perfectly at peace if you're in my life, and I'm perfectly at peace if you're out of my life. I can love you on the way in and I can love you on the way out. That's it. Right? So that's my story. That's my topic for today. December for boundaries. I encourage you guys so much to set that boundary for your self respect, for your kingdom boundaries, right? I should name it that, kingdom boundaries, right? You know, and when you set these boundaries, you're gonna understand, like, oh, okay, this is what Crazy Faith was talking about. Now you got a solid foundation.